So yeah, obviously we're back. We've done 2 episodes so far. This one's going to be about how far Classic should go. So basically, we're talking what expansion. Are we saying we want to go all the way basically to BFA, or are we wanting to stop? Are we wanting to stop in Classic? Do we want TBC? Do we want RAF? So I'm joined by Pastel. Obviously, everyone will know Pastel already. So he was on the first one, but he missed the last one because he had some sort of bad excuse, like a birthday or something like that. So do you want to say hello, Pastel?
Yeah, the 28 now. So yeah, sorry I couldn't make it last week.
Congrats on your real life ding, mate.
Thanks.
And then the legendary warlock that is Crix. So Crix, do you want to just do a bit of an introduction?
What's up? My name is Crix, and I like playing warlocks. I think they're really cool. I also like TBC better than Classic. Fight me.
Agreed.
Been playing since the beginning of time, but this is my first time playing TBC. I mean, 3 months ago I started TBC server for the first time since actual TBC was out, and it owns me. It definitely owns me, man.
So what are you actually doing on TBC at the moment? You raiding or PvP or a bit of both?
I'm on endless server in the NA first guild, and then I'm on Netherwing with launches in 6 days in a EU guild called Memory, which is server first on a bunch of other servers. So we're gonna see how hard I push. Launches in 9 days, 5 days, 6 days, 6 days, and I plan to be the first warlock to hit 70. If not the first warlock, the first top 5 warlock. Realistically speaking, I'm not gonna be the first warlock because there's people better than me, but I'm aiming for top 5.
Well, I'll definitely be hanging off your coattails as well, trying to claim some of that glory.
You're my leveling partner too. We're leveling Drew Block.
Definitely,
leveling, baby.
Looking forward to it. So also that you can find Crix. So Crix streams on Twitch, Crix Gaming _, and also on YouTube, which I'll put all of these links obviously in the description of the video. So let's just kick straight off, and we'll just cut straight to the chase and go straight for the big question. And I'll let you go first, Pastel, because I know you're probably itching. I've seen all your pictures you've been putting on Discord and everything today. So, what do you think? Where should Classic draw the line?
Probably RAF. To be honest. Like, for a straight answer.
Why?
In terms of, from like a PvP standpoint, I mean, and also just the length of the expansion, RAF was huge. I mean, how did you guys both enjoy RAF in terms of how long it lasted and the content?
Yeah, Crix.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, RAF is my first. I didn't raid in Classic or TBC. I mean, yeah, or TBC, and then when ICC was my first raid as an arcane mage. It was my first raid ever in the history of World of Warcraft. I think I was like 19. Wet behind the ears, spamming arcane blast. Dying every 10 seconds like I still do to this day in raid.
I was going to say nothing's changed.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say mine's going to be an unpopular opinion, and it normally is, to be fair, but obviously that's the point of these discussions. There's no facts. It is just our opinions. I would go to MOP. I really enjoy RAF. Like, I love RAF, actually. It's probably one of my favourite expansions, but I'd like to go to MOP, but cut out Cataclysm. That would, if I could literally choose any, because I enjoyed the whole Mr. Pandaria experience for me because I re-rolled Monk. But as I say, it's an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, that's controversial. Why skip out Cata for a start? What's on there?
I wasn't a fan of Cataclysm. That was the first expansion that I actually quit playing for quite an extended period of time. As I had a good 3-4 months off.
I quit as well in Cata.
I like the arena content that was in Cata.
That's what I've been hearing lately, actually, on my stream the past couple of days. Was people loving to dog me because I was dogging on Cata, but they said the arena was really nice on Cata.
The seasons were spread out. Everything was relatively balanced. You didn't just have like RMP as your top meta, and that was it. It got a bit squiffy because I'm pretty sure Cata had the legendaries in for rogues, right? So
yeah.
And I think it had a legendary for mages as well, or warlocks. I'm not sure, but there was some sort of legendary staff, and I'm pretty sure like RLS and RMP and things were just absolutely stomping because there was 2 legendaries in the comps.
Yeah, well, it was it was the staff that turned you into. It was a mount as well, wasn't it? It was from Firelands.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Taragosa's Rest or something like that. I believe it was called something along those lines. I'm sure someone in the chat's probably got it and probably shouting at the screen because they know what it is.
That made a bit of the end game stuff like on balance, but for the majority of the PvP content throughout all of the seasons in Cata was pretty consistent. It's really good.
Well, I've actually been playing like literally the last week on a Wrath of the Lich King server, and I must admit, as much as I'm playing like Endless, looking forward to Neverwing, all of these top TBC servers, Wrath of the Lich King was so much more polished. The class balance was insane, actually. I mean, obviously, you know, all I play as a druid, seriously play. And Feral Druid in Wrath is just, it was at its peak. And I actually think it started obviously in a really bad place in Classic. And when I say a really bad place, yeah, they're competitive. But, you know, we know overall, if you're not a warrior or a rogue, you're not in a particularly good place for endgame raiding in Classic. TBC sort of changed that a little bit. Druids were now, you know, doing well, particularly early tiers. They always seem to start strong, and they done the same in Classic as well. Obviously, for good Feral Druids, they started really strong because they had their best weapon straight away, Manual Crowd Pummeler. And then obviously, as the other classes are getting their best weapons, that started to drop down a bit. And the same happens in TBC, because a Feral's 2-piece tier 4 is really, really strong to the point where you're going to use it all the way to tier 6. But then, so you start falling off as other people sort of start blooming with gear, whereas Druids just go the opposite way. But in Wrath, everything seems fairly balanced. And again, you know, all I've done is, I don't know, a week's worth of playing on it. But yeah, it brings back a lot of memories. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Wrath is the peak of subscribers as well. Was it like 12 million, looking at those charts earlier?
I believe you're right.
So they must have been doing something right, and then it slowly sort of declined. I think they held sort of 12 million in the first patch of Cataclysm as well, and then from there it rapidly went downhill. So I think they really need to look this time round at what did they do wrong. We know it's a really successful game. You know, BFA is still a very successful game. But if they peaked in Wrath, what was the difference?
Wrath was the last expansion to have a proper talent system, right? And when I say proper, as in an exploratory talent tree, not just here's your 6 prune talents, have fun. I think that has a big impact on stuff. I don't know how people in the chat feel about like the prune talent system, but I've always hated it. I've always liked the old classic TBC and Wrath talent systems compared to.
Wait, is Kata when they switched to the 15, 30, 45, that thing?
I'm pretty sure Cat was the prune.
Oh man, I hate that. That's why I didn't like Kata either. That's one of the main reasons why I don't like that. You can't. There's not enough. What's the word? Variety. If you just have those talent points, which is, you know, versus the points, man. It's not. The builds are boring. It's more of just a cookie. I guess it's kind of cookie cutter builds now. You kind of don't really have choices. But even like having flexibility where I want to sack some survivability for some damage, you can't really do that much to the 10,000th degree on the prune talents, and I don't really like it.
Yeah, that's true, and it is like you say. I mean, there is always even in Classic TBC Wrath, even though you've got so much choice, there still is. You have to have these talents to raid. You know, there might be a couple that are sort of optional you can move about, but if you want to play outside of the norm, and so if you're a bit of a player who wants to mix it up a bit, I'll use Heart of the Wild build in Classic. You know, that's a bit of an unusual spec. You know, because you can tank and you can heal. You know, it's nice to be able to do that. Even though ultimately you could be a better healer by not being that build, and you could arguably be a better tank by not being that build. But if you want to mix it up a bit, you've got that option. And if you want to do really weird things like soloing different content, you know, you've just got more scope, I think, when you've got all those options to come up with something that's quite special. Whereas, yeah, when you've got a choice between 3 abilities that are all pretty much the same, it's like, well, you know, how it was, you'd have like a healing tree, wouldn't you? You'd have basically 3 abilities that were all to do with self-healing. So you got a big self-heal on a 15-second cooldown, a little self-heal on a 5-second cooldown, or a passive one that gives you a couple of % health. Yeah, it was always quite boring anyway. None of them were exciting.
Yeah.
So
it was just nice to have every level up a new talent slot, right? Like a new skill. Even if it was like 1% stat, you were like, yes, I got something like a little bit better. It's not like I have to wait 15 levels to get something.
Yeah, and then you'd come up with interesting ways. You know, these people who do power level, you know, speed running and stuff like that. You know, you might go 10 points in one tree to begin with, and then literally you ding level 20 and bang, respec, go into something else because you know it's now the other tree is going to be more optimal. Which, you know, again, even things like that, to me, it just adds variety actually, to echo what Crick said. So where would you? So you'd agree with Wrath, Cricks? Yeah, you'd stop at Wrath as well.
Oh, Wrath's my favorite, yeah.
Do you think they should follow the same cycle then? I mean, because that's quite an interesting one, as in...
I think they should do better than they did on Classic with a lot. I mean, Classic is good for many reasons. You know, some people like PvP, not really the ranking, but some people like just PvPing. Some people like the duel. Some people like leveling. I like leveling; it's fun. But my favorite thing about WoW is the difficulty. is how hard everything is.
Yeah. So
When it's hard, which is non-existent in Classic.
that's exactly what's going to be my point.
I want them to do better with TBC, and I want them to do better. They probably won't. They probably would still be easy, but some people like how it's easy. I don't like it easy. I want to rush. There's no bragging rights in Classic. Oh, I have a 29-minute BWL versus them on their 28-minute BWL. Fuck all that. I don't care about no speedrunning is lame to me.
I'm in exactly the same boat. I mean, I don't play the game to raid for 30 minutes a week. I want to raid for a few hours on content that's difficult, a few times a week. But yeah, we definitely haven't got it on Classic, and that's why the TBC servers are popular. Particularly, not plugging them, but Endless as an example, their content is difficult for the vast majority of people. And I think we spoke about this briefly on last week about what Blizzard could potentially learn from private servers, and that is it. Private servers know how to influence their players to balance the factions. That's a big one, because they give incentives to play the underrepresented faction, but they also know that we want hard content. Well, that's what keeps people going on Classic. The reason they've probably got people dropping off every bloody week is because people like me. I went and cleared Zolgurub the first day it come out and was like, never went back again. Well, what was what's the point? Been there. We done it 15 years ago, so doing it again is always a bit of a risk of being boring anyway. But if it was difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's that again. Well, I'm glad we're all on the same boat there.
It's like hey, yeah, we're looking forward to this game. We've all played it. Not everybody who's played Classic has played it before, obviously, but I mean, I feel like at least I don't know how much I can't percentage that. Half of that, more than half of that, probably have already played it before. So you gave us the exact same game, just way more spurgy, way more populated, and less fun. In my opinion,
I think the player base, the way they're approached Classic, kind of ruined the experience for how people are playing it now. As in, like, people are trying to speedrun stuff. It was never like that back in the day, and you've always got to wonder, like, if they do that with TBC and if they do that with Rapid Lich King, they're probably not even going to have the same numbers, because if it's always just a speed race, no one's going to enjoy it.
I think they'll have same numbers, if not better numbers, because of Arena.
Yeah, the Arena content was really sort of...
Yeah, if PvE content's going to be nice and easy, then Arena's going to be running the whole world for TBC, which is fine. But then that goes to say, okay, so say you have enough time to no life something like Classic TBC launches, and you want to no life PvP or PvE. You can't really do both, because you got to do rep grinds, you got to do heroic grinds, you got to do all the attunements, all the shit. That takes a couple weeks for you to do that. Versus, Pastel over there, he's not even PvEing. He's just been PvPing hardcore for 2 weeks. You're way ahead of me on gear. So now in the back of my head, I want to be like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now, because the PvE's content is going to be a joke. It'd be more fun just to push Arena, get your name out there that way instead. So it's like those things you kind of got to think about,
Yeah, absolutely. So, if what happens next then? So we're all saying Raph. All right, I'm always going to upset people by going with the unpopular opinion of saying no, I want Mr. Pandaria because I'm a panda-loving weirdo. But what do we do? Let's say we're 3 years down the line, 3 years from today, and we're killing Lich King 25 heroic. We're all gladiators in the current season. What does it end? Do they literally say, right, that's you can just keep playing Raph now till the end of days, or do they cycle it again?
Whatever the next Shadowlands would be, I would assume. Whatever's next for Shadowlands, man. That's the only thing they can do. What do they can't? I mean, to do Kata and Mop, there have to be an overwhelming majority for that. I don't think they would just do that unless like the community, because they'd be at risk of losing a lot of money that way. Unless they re-rolled Kata and made it so they didn't redo the talents. You know what I mean? Yeah, or fresh. You got classic. There's other things they can do, but I don't think they should push into that, because I don't think a lot of people will play it. But like you said, there are people who would play it though at the same time, so they'd still make money off of it. Me personally, End of Lich King is about when the new Lord of the Rings MMO is coming out, and that's when I'm probably going to hard switch to.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I would be with Kargos. That I think pretty much the only option for me would be keep the RAF server going until the end of time, whatever, until physically no one's playing it. But as soon as you reach the end of RAF, when it's time for Kata pre-patch, all the servers start from fresh. You can keep your RAF character, and they're still going, but ultimately it should just be a fresh start again. And I think loads of people, by the time you've got all the way to the end of RAF, you might actually be ready to start on Classic again. I probably would.
One of the things, if they're like centering a lot of the content around PvP with like TBC and RAF, the thing to think of back in the day is like you do TBC, you get recognized, you do the arena tournament, you go on to do the tournaments. There's not going to be any tournaments for TBC and RAF this time around. I wouldn't have thought so anyway. No one's going to go to BlizzCon to play a TBC match. I wouldn't have thought so. You've got to consider how much hype there will actually be for PvP if there's no actual rewards for it. It's just literally playing it for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Blizzard can do some kind of tournament. So if Classic had this many dual tournaments, they're going to do something for Arena. There'll be some kind of a tournament for Arena.
It would have to be community based though, right? I don't think Blizzard would support it.
On the TV, I think on a Classic TBC server, I can think they could support it because it's not illegal or anything. They didn't support any of the Classic ones, no, because they're just dueling tournaments, right?
Yeah.
So it is slightly off topic, don't get me wrong, but it's something that a lot of people are talking about. So what if we all got completely surprised, and don't get me wrong, it would ruin my whole YouTube channel. What if they didn't release TBC and they did actually go Classic Plus and start releasing brand new content with the current Classic balance?
I'd weep.
With our current dev team? Yeah, I'm not too optimistic about that.
I'd weep deep inside my heart.
With the current dev team.
I probably, honestly, if they didn't come out TBC, if they don't come out TBC, I'm quitting WoW. Either I would probably dip my feet in the Shadowlands and see if I can get hooked back into retail, which is a possibility because I was a big retail guy. If that doesn't work, then I'd probably quit. New World's coming out soon. Ashes of Creation's coming out soon. There's some other games, other MMOs I'd switch to. I'm done with WoW. I'm only in WoW because I'm on a private server right now. I'm so done with WoW that I'm wasting my life on a private server.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I am.
Well, we was talking about it offline, weren't we, earlier on, and my reasons for going back to retail, a lot of it comes down to the fact that private servers come with their own issues, and Classic, I just can't bring myself to play. I'm on YouTube and on these podcasts and streaming, basically preaching to people saying, get ready for TBC, get your characters leveled, get your professions ready, get yourself set up, have 5k gold ready, because if your character carries over, then you can instantly buy flying. I'm telling everyone to do that, and then I'm sat pouncing around on private servers because I can't be asked to level.
Yeah, it's not fun content on Classic right now, and I would like, if you've played a private server, I'd like to actually reach out to them because the way they handle things, like the faction imbalance and they tune the content even. It's actually really enjoyable. If they just re-roll TBC and it's super easy, it's not going to be fun either. So
no, if the content gets cleared to the speed that I foresee it getting cleared at, then this is why I asked earlier on, and we didn't really get to the bottom of an answer to the question, was should they do it exactly the same as they did before? Because we are all, or most of us, maybe not people like Perry, but the majority of us are better players now. And we literally can... sorry, Perry, I had to put that in there. We clear content faster. It's as simple as that. We're used to more complex mechanics. When you think of the mechanics on fights like... I don't know, even just going forward to Wrath of the Lich King and talking about Mimiron, and other bosses in Alduar, Yogg-Saron and things like that. The boss fights are a bit more complex, so we find the old stuff easier, especially when you've got all the resources in the world out there of millions of people that have killed it before already. So you've got guides written before the content even launches. I think that's the challenge that they need to overcome. And to me, the only way they can overcome that challenge is pre-nerfed content, firstly. But even the pre-nerfed content, as long as it wasn't horribly overtuned back in the day to the point where, like Muru and things like that needed nerfing, then release it. Because even the stuff that needed nerfing back then, does it need nerfing now? I mean, we might have a player base that can actually overcome that we couldn't overcome 15 years ago. And would that be a sort of appealing to people back in the day who had to wait for the nerfs to be able to kill it, to now have a new challenge? They're like, no, this time round we're killing it before it gets nerfed again. I think it's another challenge.
Yeah.
Was it the Alcatraz that had like a massive? Not the Alcatraz. It was one of the raids there though. One of the 25 raids there that had a nerf before anyone could even do the boss, because the boss was so horribly overtuned to begin with.
Yeah, there's been a few like that through history. I couldn't sit here and quote them if I'm honest with you, but I know various.
I'd like to see people tackle those with the resources we have nowadays. Like, people know the fights and people can, go get resources on the internet. Like, we couldn't do that back in the day.
Yeah, but there's things that I didn't do back in vanilla. So like, I never got past 4 horsemen. So that's the only thing in Classic that I'm looking forward to. is killing 4 Horsemen, Saf, and KT, because they're the 3 bosses that I didn't kill 15 years ago. But because I killed all the others, it's kind of irrelevant. But like when we look at TBC, if there was bosses that I personally didn't kill when I was raiding on TBC back in the day, or if I didn't kill them or I killed them after the nerfs, then I would want a second chance. Now, right, I want to be able to kill them before the nerfs, and ultimately, I still want it to be challenging. But I don't think we're getting that from Classic.
No, especially not when people.
I'll tell you the only thing what Classic's got for AQ's coming out. Cool, we get it. That's gonna be dope. Other than that, dude, there's something called a hardcore challenge, which is like Iron Man. That's the only thing Classic has that's worth playing and that's fun to do. Yeah,
and that for me is kind of like slamming my dick in a door repeatedly.
That's it. Get to 60 without dying, and you can't trade. You wear what you wear. It's the most innovative thing that's been created, and it's so much fun until you die.
Which for me is normally before level 5.
You could fucking delete your character if you die. It's the most heartbreaking thing ever. There's people who died at level 59 and delete their character. That close to the rank, that close to doing it, and you have to delete your character. That's the funnest part about it, because that's a challenge. That makes you, that's the game that envelops you and makes you have to sit there and get your professions, keep it up, do everything just while you're leveling. It's fun, super fun.
It should almost be implemented into the game as a real thing.
Yeah, we're trying to get that might happen. That's what we're hoping. Cargo started a trend and it's blown up, so we're hoping.
I'd like to see servers that enforce it. That would be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, even servers where you just die once in your character, you just can't log back into them.
Yeah, it's just no release spare or anything. It's just got to log out.
Well, it's nothing new to Blizzard, is it? Let's be fair. They do it on Diablo, so it's age old. Yeah.
Oh. And that's what the only Classic I play. It's the most fun. I like it, and it's because it's a good challenge. It's a challenge. It's a good challenge. I like challenging. There's nothing challenging in Classic. It's not challenging to get rank 14, bud. It's challenging to stay up and do that every day, patience-wise, but it's not hard to do. You're not a good PvPer because you're rank 14. Matter of fact, I know people who are rank 14 who are fucking trash. You know what I mean? It's stupid. Versus earning that PvP ranking in TBC, which is going to be hard as fuck. That's going to be fun to do,
Yeah, it is. And like you say, again, it comes back to how much more experienced we are as players, which is going to make the arenas back in TBC. Well, let's face it, I got Gladiator in TBC, and I can't PvP. So if I got Gladiator in TBC, it couldn't have been overly difficult. This time around, no chance.
There's so many people I hear say that they're in for a surprise if they think the arena is going to be easy, man. These private server people are fucking insanely good, bro. They are nutty. It's insane how good these private server PvPers are. The top tier arena guys are crazy good. You know what I mean?
Even the bottom tier. I've done 30 arenas on my druid and not won one game yet.
I think we've got like Mur and stuff on Endless, and they've been playing for like high-end arena content for God.
Oh, dude, Mur's on there, dude. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, Mur, Troll Priest, all these people who are just they're the largest brain PvPers of their classes to the point where they can just start a fresh 70 in questing gear on a class that they barely played and hit arena and still beat everybody. But that's a downside to private servers. Is it's so, especially Endless, it's really like that. It's just you're not beating these people. Just good luck. These people have been doing this for years and years, and they're trained. They've been training for years, and now TBC's coming out. Now they can like legally off a private server hit the ground running on and get their name out there even bigger. It's gonna be so dope to see that, man. It's gonna be so exciting.
And that is the interesting thing as well. It's like it's happened in Classic. The dominating guilds, the dominating player bases, they're all from private servers, and we're going to get the same in TBC.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like Apes were on private server for so long, and then just smashed the first raid when it came out because they knew exactly what they were doing. I don't know if that ruins it or not because it didn't affect me in the slightest. But imagine for some,
I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
because I'm a private server guy, so now I know my shit too. Classic, I didn't know my shit, so I'm with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it ruins it, but I think it does come with some negative effects. As in, I suppose if you're playing on the same server as these people and you actually have got a decent guild, you've got yourselves together and you want to compete, there is no competition. You've got no hope unless you was on a private server as well.
Yep.
But all right, so one last thing, and then we'll leave it there because this has been it's been quite interesting anyway. It's good to get other people's views. How do we think they're really going to do it? So we're saying we want Wrath, and I mean, you're saying you want Wrath. I'm saying I want my furry panda monk back. But what do you think they're actually going to do? And we'll go around the table. I'll go last. How do you think it's actually going to pan out? Crick's gone.
TBC Lich King, they're going to stop and work on either like WoW 2.0 or some kind of further expansion.
Pastel?
I agree with that. I think they're going to go to Lich King, look at the graphs compared to the old days, and go, actually, yeah, like time and time again, this has been the highest. Let's do it, and then they'll probably try and craft the new content around that.
Yep, I agree. It'd be brilliant.
From a financial standpoint, if I was saying this is my top number of subscribers, and it happened to be the exact same the next run around, why wouldn't I make next content like that? I want to hit 1.2 million subscribers again. Why wouldn't you? Or 10 million or whatever it was.
Yeah, again, my opinion is normally slightly different to other people, unfortunately. Whereas, because I honestly, I think they would actually go to Cataclysm and then stop. And the only reason I say that is because I think they'll have so many players that they've got roped in on Wrath, and how easy it is for them to re-release old content. I think they would probably go to Cataclysm and then realise, yep, it's a second coming. You know, it's still just as shit now as it was, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, however long it works out to be, and then they'll stop. But I just think they'll be a little bit greedy and be like, oh, we've got all these people and we've got this content that we can just put out quite quickly with such a small team. Why not? Even if they put it out and they kept 6 million people or whatever, it's still 6 million people that might not be subscribing because of retail. They're subscribing because of Kata. So, but again, just my opinion. RAF would be the sensible thing. Don't get me wrong, absolutely the sensible thing. But when have they ever done a sensible thing?
That's true.
True.
And how disappointing would it be to put out Cataclysm, expect it to do good, knowing full well that it did bad in the past, and it just continues to do the same next time around? It would be really disappointing. But I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're probably right. As much as I'd like to see RAF to be the final stop of it, I think you're right. It'd probably go to Kata, maybe even more. It depends how greedy they get.
I'll stay around for MOP. I'll play through Cataclysm just for MOP.
There might be MOP just for you, maybe.
I'll pay for about 200 accounts a month just to boost their numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if you find 200 people to play it.
No, probably not. But no, look, that's cool. I appreciate this is a lot shorter than the other two that we've done so far. But obviously, this is not particularly a broad topic. There's not that much we need to go into. It is just sort of our opinions. But next week we're going to be, hopefully, we'll be joined by exactly the same people, but my brother will be involved as well. And it's what I wanted to talk about last week, actually. So I want to have a real good deep dive. So next week's will probably be about an hour talking about class balance in TBC. And I'd like
that's a good one.
Exactly. I think it needs to be spoken about, and I think it will be quite fun. And I'd like to come at it from a PvE standpoint. So, and my brother as well. Whereas,
I'll be there.
Yeah, Pastel is how many times have you been Gladiator? I mean, you've done loads of seasons, haven't you? So I think PvP you might be able to lend a hand in.
Yeah, I didn't get like very high in TBC and stuff. I didn't hit like a rank 1 till season 12. Which was end of Cat, I think. But yeah, from there on it was fairly consistent. Before that was pretty terrible. That was me. Before that was me learning to use keybinds properly. So that's how well that went.
I'm still working on that. It's been 15 years. I'm still trying to work out how to not backpedal. Right, cool guys. So look, thanks Crix, thanks Pastel. This has been fun. Always nice to catch up with you both anyway. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you both next week.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for having me, man.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.